SpaceX has been putting wins on the board ever since the company, founded by serial entrepreneur Elon Musk, became the first privately funded group to put a payload in Earth orbit in 2008. Since then, the company has continued to impress, launching unmanned cargo vehicles to the International Space Station and winning a contract from NASA to fly astronauts as well, as early as 2017. There have been setbacks, most disastrously last June when a cargo rocket bound for the ISS exploded en route, costing the crew much needed supplies and shaking confidence in the company as a whole. Welcome to Good Lucks, a channel dedicated to inspiring you to expand your mindset, make general life breakthroughs, and realize your full potential to see what life has to offer. On December 21st, however, Musk bounced back, launching a payload of satellites to orbit and then recovering the first stage of the Falcon 9 rocket, which landed upright, settling itself down under the power of its engines, just 6 miles from the Cape Canaveral launch pad. Recoverable, reusable rocket stages that touch down on dry land have been talked about for decades as a way to keep costs down and speed turnaround times, but no one had been able to do it until now. In this video, we will talk to you about everything you need to know about SpaceX and answer as many unanswered questions you might have about SpaceX and its founder. Let's get started. How SpaceX started. In 2002, Musk and friends traveled to Russia to buy a refurbished intercontinental ballistic missile. The Silicon Valley prodigy who made millions off internet startups wasn't looking to start a business at the time. He wanted to spend a big chunk, or maybe all of his fortune, on a stunt he hoped would invigorate interest in funding NASA and space exploration. The idea was to buy a Russian rocket on the cheap and use it to send plants or mice to Mars, and hopefully bring them back too. Ideally, the spectacle would get the world excited about space again. But Musk's Moscow meeting didn't go well, and he decided he could build rockets himself, calculating that he could undercut existing launch contractors in the process. SpaceX was founded just a few months later. What has SpaceX done that other companies haven't? SpaceX scored its first big headline in 2010 when it became the first private company to launch a payload into orbit and return it to Earth intact, something only government agencies like NASA or Russia's Roscosmos had done before. Its upright landing and recovery of the first stage of the Falcon 9 rocket on December 21st, 2015 was another first. Blue Origin founder and Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos sent a rocket to the edge of space and landed it upright earlier this year, but it was a demonstration flight that did not achieve orbit. Are SpaceX's rockets special? Progress in rocketry is incremental. The base science of liquid-fueled rockets hasn't changed much, and solid-fueled rockets, well, they go back millennia. The advances are made at the margins, and Musk is doing well there. His rockets are modular. The Falcon is a single-engine model. The Falcon 9, no surprise, has 9. The Falcon Heavy, which is yet to fly, will have 27 in 3 clusters of 9 engines. This streamlines production in the same way that building different car bodies atop similar chassis help keep costs down for car manufacturers. Roughly 80% of the parts in any SpaceX rocket are made on the company's factory floor, reducing the cost of outsourcing. This keeps the price per pound of payload down and quality control in-house. One study by NASA and the Air Force estimated that the price tag for going from the initial design stages of the Falcon 9 rocket to the first flight was $440 million, about a third of what it would have cost NASA. How close is SpaceX to flying a crew? Very close, maybe. The company has used its Dragon spacecraft to make uncrewed cargo runs to the ISS. The Dragon was designed with crew compatibility in mind, which means the ship has already proven its basic spaceworthiness, though it has a good way to go before its life systems are similarly proven. SpaceX and Boeing are both scheduled to begin crewed runs to the ISS in 2017, and NASA has already designated the first astronauts who will fly in the new ships. The 2017 target could slip, and the June explosion of one of SpaceX's cargo rockets during the launch launch was hardly good news for the company. The recent launch of the Falcon 9, even without the upright first stage landing, was a confidence booster. But with astronauts' lives on the line in future flights, the company will have to put a string of good launches together to make up for that very bad one. Is SpaceX profitable? It's hard to say since the company is privately held, which means its books aren't open for inspection. The belief amongst most analysts, however, is that SpaceX must by now be making money. It has $4.2 billion in contracts from NASA alone, and its recent success in cracking the defense contract business, breaking the monopoly on United Launch Alliance, enjoyed with the military, means more revenue. All of this is on top of its contracts for private satellite launches, giving it 60 launches overall on its manifest, worth about $7 billion. That's a lot for a company whose main selling point is that it can launch satellites for about a third of the cost the older companies do, clearing a lot of cap room for profits. There is much speculation over when and if Musk will go public, and there is much hope on Wall Street that he will. SpaceX's rep is partly sizzle, yes, and there is no guarantee it will be a big moneymaker over the long term. Sights on Starlink. SpaceX isn't just working on getting things into space, it has also started operating in space to bring the universe to us. In May 2019, the company launched the first batch of 60 small satellites designed to lead the way for a massive constellation of broadband satellites. The plan, dubbed Starlink, is to use up to 42,000 satellites in low Earth orbit to blanket the globe with high-speed internet access. The company says the service could create a new stream of revenue to help fund its pricey Mars ambitions. The second batch of 50 satellites launched 6 months later, with more to follow in relatively rapid succession. The scale of the project has some astronomers worried that a sky filled with thousands of satellites could interfere with their observations. The trains of newly launched satellites are easily viewable from the ground as they gain altitude. SpaceX says it plans to work with astronomers and take steps to mitigate Starlink's impact on astronomy, including launching satellites with a sunshade, dubbed VisorSat, to reduce their reflectivity. As the company worked towards its first 1,000 Starlink satellites launched, it launched a beta of its broadband service in the final quarter of 2022, limited to northern latitudes. The rollout is expected to expand in 2021. What's next? Since its inception, SpaceX has aimed to get to Mars, but the company is involved in non-space related projects on Earth, like the high-speed Hyperloop transit concept. Musk's Boring Company, tunnel digging, and traffic mitigating ventures are also largely operating out of SpaceX's headquarters in Southern California. Unlike the other big Musk company, Tesla Motors, SpaceX isn't publicly traded. Musk says he doesn't plan to take SpaceX public until the company realizes its Mars ambitions. That means SpaceX might make sense as the home of any other future Muskian side projects, like Hyperloop and the Boring Company in the meantime. Becoming the Apple of the rocket business is one way of looking at it, though Musk demurs the analogy without demurring the idea of assuming a similarly dominant role in the space sector. His biggest, dreamiest target is sending people to Mars, which does not make him unusual unless he can achieve it. He boasts that he could fly human passengers there for as little as $500,000 per seat, but in this case, he may be over-promising. The laws of economics might be even harder to overcome than the laws of physics, and neither has been cracked sufficiently yet to make a Mars mission achievable. As for whether Musk himself would go, I would like to go to space, but I have to forego that, he told Time in 2012, citing his 5 sons and multiple companies. I have to be careful with personal risks. How do you feel about SpaceX? Do you think you would be willing to pay $500,000 to go to Mars? Please engage with this post as much as possible and post any more queries or remarks in the comments area. Click the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed the video so that others might view it and be inspired. To ensure you don't miss any new videos regarding personal development, enable the notification bell as well. I'll see you in the future.